Good morning. Oh, there we go. That's a little bit better. Good morning. I'm Liz. I am one half of the team at Rising Tide Women, and Lindsay should be on momentarily, but we are hopping on for our weekly live Doula Jam, and it's a topic I'm actually really excited to talk about this morning. It's still morning. And just for those of you who may not know what we do, we support families through pregnancy, birth, breastfeeding, postpartum, and beyond. My dog is growling in his sleep. So we do birth education, and we actually are really excited. We just are setting up our first group prenatal class, and we call it birth unlearning because we really want you to unlearn some of the scary messages you've been getting from just living in the world about birth. So that is going to be, our first one is going to be November 18th at South Shore Perinatal Wellness Center. Hi, and we are so excited about that. It's going to be a lot of fun, and we have, hi!
Morning!
I'm just talking about our upcoming class at South Shore Perinatal Wellness Center.
So excited.
It's gonna be great.
It's gonna be really great. And really special.
Yeah. And we have very limited spots. It's a very small class. We have very limited spots available, and registration is open now. So if you are kind of like on the fence about whether you want to register, like, please reach out and ask us your questions, because we don't want you to miss out, because there are, like we said, very few spots available.
Right. And we've already gotten a lot of interest in it, so we would love for you to snag those spots. What's great about the small group is that grab another friend, grab another couple, do this together. And also, we want you to know that with the small group, it means everybody gets comfortable with each other in a very reasonable way and an amount of time. You know, we're not going to make you feel silly or out of your comfort zone in this class. We are going to really go at your pace and definitely cover some solid topics, the things that you really need to know, but we also want to hear from you. Like, what do you want to learn about birth? And we also cover breastfeeding and the immediate postpartum. Okay, so all those things are covered in the class. You're getting it all.
A lot. Yeah, I'm so excited for that. So that is one of the things we do. We also run our lifeboat program, which is now registering for February and March due dates. So that registration is opening today. So get on that if you are due then. And you also get a whole birth education series in that program. That one is all online, so you don't have to be local. So we have like a lot of things going on right now, but they're all really things we are so excited about. Lindsay, of course, does all of our birth support, except for I only take scheduled cesarean doula clients. I do lactation support. So we kind of tag team. Our clients get both of us, and it's really a lot of fun.
It's two doulas for one package price and a lot of support. And
yes,
I have a nursing background. Liz is an IBCLC. We're both certified birth educators and doulas, and we have a lot of experience and different techniques under our belt. So it's really a great value for what you're getting.
Yeah. And I think, sometimes people, like, when I talk about what I do, people often will be like, oh, I would love to do that kind of part-time. And I think there is sometimes this perception that, like, birth work is kind of a hobby. And for us, it is not a hobby. This is like our full-time gig. This is what we do. It is our calling, and we take it really seriously, but we also have a lot of fun with it. Not that you would ever imagine that from these doula jams, right? We're very,
Terrible,
very
terrible
serious.
time.
So, so today, so we're sort of trying to get on a schedule where we talk about like pregnancy and then birth and then breastfeeding and then postpartum. And so today is a breastfeeding day. And I am so excited. This is actually a topic I've wanted to talk about for a while, which is like, you don't have to love breastfeeding. Like, what if you don't love it? Um, or what if you don't love every minute of it? What if you love it like sometimes, but not every minute of it? Because we have this, there's this trope in our culture, and I know you know what I'm talking about, Lindsay, where people are like, oh, enjoy every minute. They grow big so fast. And like, yes, that's true. But also, like, not every minute is enjoyable.
No.
Like, like we have this like crazy expectation that you're gonna go through motherhood and parenthood with this like manic happiness every moment. And like that's like a little bit pathological. Like that's not a normal expectation.
No, because parenthood, motherhood, breastfeeding, it's work. It's work. And work
Yeah.
is not a bad word. I mean, what you and I do is work, but
Yeah.
I really enjoy it. There are really hard moments where I'm like, oh, I'm frustrated and I don't know what to do or how to fix this
Yeah.
problem or help this person. And so you call in your resources and you call in your people and you can figure out problems. And one
Yeah.
thing that I think that people run into, especially with breastfeeding, and why it isn't always enjoyable. There are many reasons, but one, we don't have the resources readily available. Yes, there are
Yeah.
breastfeeding groups out there. There are classes. There are lactation professionals. Sure, like the world has tons of them, but not
Yeah.
everybody wants to reach out, or they haven't found the right person who they feel is going to truly honor their experience. And
Yeah.
then we start not liking what we're doing because we don't have the right help.
Yeah. And I think like there is a lot of, I see a lot of fear from new moms about like, oh, if I, like, am I not doing this right? Am I gonna get, if I reach out for help, am I gonna get judged?
Mm-hmm.
Like, are people gonna just tell me I'm not a good mom or that I'm not doing it right? And, with us, the answer is no, never. That's like a thing I get. That's a soapbox issue for me is like, no, you should not be judged wherever you're at your journey. Whether you're combo feeding, and it's like my philosophy as a lactation consultant is like, I'm going to give you the information about like, if you are combo feeding, here's what's likely to happen down the road. It's gonna over time affect your milk supply. Um, if you supplement from the very beginning, it's going to be harder to establish a full milk supply. But then given that information, you're grown up, you get to make that decision. Like it's not my decision and it's not my job to make you exclusively breastfeed.
Right. And another thing that I just thought of when you were saying combo feeding and then exclusive, you know, we tend to live in a world right now where it's almost like you have to pick a method. Or if you don't have
Yeah.
your like, this is what I am, then who are you
Yes.
in this world? And I know that when I was feeding my children, I didn't know about really any of that, and
Yeah.
methods frightened me because I figured like then I'm stuck. I if I declare myself this, then I have to do that forever. And
Yeah.
I just went about my business and did my thing, and didn't really talk about like my breastfeeding and everything to people because one, I didn't really think anyone really wanted to hear about it. And also, I didn't want to have to start a conversation of, well, sometimes I give a bottle and sometimes I do that. It just I didn't know what to do. And I feel like when
Yeah.
we acquaint ourselves one way or the other with the way we feed our babies, you run into later because someone might say like, "Oh, I thought you were exclusively breastfeeding," and then you're caught giving a bottle. Oh,
But it's like it's so normal because things change, and the breastfeeding relationship is not meant to be static. It's not going to look the same when your baby is a week old as it does when your baby is 3 months old, and it's not going to look the same when your baby is 6 months old, 9 months old. Like, these relationships are meant to change, and that's sort of part of the natural progression. And I think people do get hooked on, and I that's a good point. I remember that being like kind of creating a little bit of an identity around that. Like, I was like, I really wanted to be an exclusive breastfeeder, and it was really hard for me when my babies came out of the NICU and we were supplementing formula at first. I don't even remember why. Oh, it was increased calories. We were supplementing formula so that they could have 24 calories an ounce, and we were bottle feeding because they weren't very good nursers in the beginning. And it was very much like I had this kind of identity crisis of like, this is not the kind of mom that I thought I was going to be, and that was really hard for me to come to terms with. And I think, that's something I always want to help moms through, is that like breastfeeding is amazing. I will always support you on your breastfeeding journey, but it's not the measure of whether or not you're a good mom, you know? And I think that's like what I really want people to understand is like,
yes.
sometimes things don't go the way you plan, and it's your ability to adapt and still care for your baby that is the measure of being a good parent.
Mm.
Not your attachment to some kind of dogmatic parenting philosophy.
Yes. I hope there are lots of people out there watching this who go and, thank you for saying that. I want to do a show of hands. Who loved every second of breastfeeding?
And there are women who do. There are parents who do, who just, and I think looking back on it, I hear a lot from like older women who are like, I loved those middle of the night feedings when everything was just still and it was just me and my baby and we really connected. And like, I love to hear those stories and those sweet moments. But I think also like also you are feeding your baby and there's room for it to be a little bit utilitarian. I think with my third one, I felt like that. Like I was like, okay, just get on there and eat so we can get on with your day. Cause I got to make sure your brothers aren't climbing on top of the refrigerator,
Right.
like,
like every second, I remember getting to the point, with all three, like, I just wanted to wear a normal outfit, like I can remember looking into my closet and being like, oh, like I just really want to wear this dress today, but I really can't, or it's just not gonna work for me for where we're going.
yeah.
And like those were the moments, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
that's what I do every second, because it
Yeah.
was a bit of a price tag, and there were just times I was looking in my closet and I'm like, gosh darn it, I really want to
I just want to
it, but I can't. So
yeah, I just want to like get dressed without having to worry about how accessible my boobs are,
it mattered.
Yeah. And I think, and something that comes up a lot, and I know you and I have talked about this, Lindsay, and it actually came up at my breastfeeding group yesterday, was just that feeling of being like touched out. And like, I just really want to like exist for 10 minutes without anyone touching me, you know? And then not only that feeling, but then the guilt about having that feeling and feeling like, oh, like, am I not a good mom? Am I like, it brings up some really primal fears and guilt for some people. And I just want to like put it out there. I feel like this is like our PSA episode of Doula Jam, where it's like, it's normal to feel touched out.
Yep, I definitely didn't know. I didn't even know that term. I feel like we're now in
Yeah.
like in a time where like everything has a term, everything has a name. And I just was like, I didn't know what it meant, and it did make me feel like I was bad, because I just didn't want someone touching me.
Yeah.
So
Yeah, but I think it's so normal, like as humans, we really need touch, and our babies need touch. And there's something like so therapeutic about it. I mean, we sort of hold massage up as like this epitome of relaxation in our culture. And it's hi. And it's really like it's touch. That skin on skin contact is really important for us as humans. But we also need our space and our independence. And like, it's really hard to get that when you have a newborn who wants to nurse constantly, And I just like, I think it's really important to talk about that and say that, yeah, it is a thing. It has a name because you are not the only one feeling that
right,
way.
right, and also to remind folks that babies are not always hungry when they are
Yeah.
looking to be at the breast. It has to do with bonding
Yeah.
and eye contact and that skin to skin. Babies know what they need, and some
Yes.
they need a hug. They have no other way to express that but crying or fussing.
Yeah.
And so our natural instinct is, oh, I better go pick the baby up. And usually it quiets them down. So we start learning, like, oh, when I put the baby to breast or at least snuggle the baby, like that calms the baby down. Like it works.
Yeah. Yeah, and it does. And, that was sort of the flip side of that, or one of the sides of that we talked about at group yesterday was like, sometimes like a well-meaning in-law or a parent or, someone, a family friend or whoever who's like, well, you got to put your baby down. They'll never learn. I love the never statements. Like, if you breastfeed them every time they cry, they'll never do anything else. Like, really? They're going to be like 35 and still nursing every time they feel sad. Like, oh my God. I love the never
Yes,
statements.
never, never. Those
If you don't,
those like 5-year-olds that are still breast, never.
never. I mean, and if you don't,
They never learned.
yeah, somebody told me once that if you don't introduce a spoon by 6 months, they will never learn to use a spoon. And I was like, they're going to be spoon deficient forever? Like, they're going to be like
No,
40 years old and just like,
yes.
sorry, I have to use my hands.
I never learned. I didn't pick up a spoon at 6 months. It was more like 7 months, and it never caught on.
Yeah, like just, and now they'll never know how to use a spoon. Like, come on, people. But I think that, like, so, but I also think too that, like, don't let anybody make you feel guilty for holding your baby. Like if your baby is crying, pick them up, and there's nothing wrong with that. And also with comfort nursing, if your baby's fussing and they just ate and you're pretty sure they don't necessarily need a belly full of milk, but they want a comfort nurse, there is nothing wrong with that. It's good for your milk supply. It's good for your baby's weight gain. It's good for bonding. Like, it's really a win-win situation, except when you're feeling touched out. And so that's your time to call in the troops and say, like, listen, baby needs some comforting, but I need a little space and I need a breather. And I think that, like, sometimes in the natural parenting community, we don't leave space for that. We talk so much about, like, respond to your baby, respond to your baby. And yes, I am so on board with that. But the flip side is that, like, you're also allowed to be a human with needs. And sometimes space is one of those needs. And so that's time to, like, go see your partner, go see grandma, go see a babysitter, go see literally anyone else. And I'm just going to go scroll on my phone and have exist like a normal person with no one touching me for 10 minutes.
Right. And sometimes it's even less. You ask for 10, and maybe by 5, you're like, okay, I'm ready.
I'm good.
Right. And then
Yeah.
baby has fallen asleep in somebody else's arms because
Yeah.
it just needed a snuggle. And then you're like, okay, cool. Like maybe I'll go fix myself something to eat now.
Yeah.
Go get some food. Don't grab that shower you've been wanting, or a couple pages in a book you're reading. Like, that's okay. And I really love that you brought that up, that, again, in this world, and we have these terms, attachment parenting and natural parenting.
And they're great. I think that they, but I think that,
Yes.
again, it's that identity piece that, like, if one like fits you 100%, great, go for that. But like, don't feel like you have to like cram yourself into one of these parenting types. And I think even this trope of like the hot mess mom, which I personally really identify with. But like,
I imagine like a woman like on fire, like in flames, like hot mess. Like, what does that even mean? I don't even know.
I know. And I think like
what I don't get.
I think like what we find so appealing about that is it gives us permission to not be perfect, which I love. But I also, again, the flip side though is that like you're not going to be a hot mess all the time. Like, look at me today. I took a shower. I got dressed. I mean, I'm wearing pajama pants, but my top half is dressed for the day. And like,
look at me. Oh, messy bun. I put this nice top on. You don't want to see my pants right now.
You look fly, girl. I love it.
I'm drinking cold coffee. Guys, this isn't hot coffee. Like, I don't have it together. I'm literally sipping on coffee right now.
Same. But I think
my hotness.
But it's like, yeah, it's so okay to be a hot mess sometimes, and it's so okay to have your stuff together sometimes. And like, you're not gonna always fit any one of these kind of tropes of motherhood. And I think that like there are some really good things about them, but then there are things that I just think we tend to like pick one, and then that's the one.
Yeah, like that's
that we. I know.
I mean.
So I think with breastfeeding, we get that, like, where we have this kind of identity of like, oh, I'm a breastfeeding mom. And we have it conjures this image of like this peaceful mom sitting on like a white couch, and she's clean and she's well dressed and her baby is clean and happy. And they're just so like, it's like this idyllic breastfeeding scene. And like, every once in a while it looks like that, but mostly it's like you're in your sweatpants and your baby is crying and you're like scrolling Facebook, or you've got your Netflix queue going, and you're just chilling with your baby. And that's great. That's not a failure. That's amazing.
Right. Sometimes you're walking around the house with the baby on the boob because you've got toddlers or older kids that need help with their homework, and that's how you get it done. You prop your leg up on a chair and safely rest the baby there, and can we also honor the fact that not everybody's boobs look the same, and some droop lower and some are higher up, so that also means that image of breastfeeding is going to look different. You don't want uncomfortable hiking your boob up, to the sky, or if it just falls naturally and baby is comfortable, like that's okay too. Like, it looks different for everybody.
And I just really want to normalize that, like, it's not going to be bliss. There are going to be moments where you're like, oh my gosh, this is the sweetest and I love this, and like I feel so connected to my baby. You're going to have those moments, and I remember those moments. And then, and I loved breastfeeding, but there were also times where I was like, oh, get off me. I'm like, and I think,
like, I remember
go ahead.
Beginning, my husband, he's a great teammate, but there would be times he would be like holding one of the kids and be like, I'd be just trying to get into the shower, and he'd down at the bottom of the stairs like, oh, I think they need to eat, and I'm like, you feed the baby with your boob, like, you do it
with your useless nipples.
I just want to get in the shower, like.
Yeah.
You do it.
Hold them off for 10
Yeah,
minutes.
like walk around, bounce them around, like go outside. Like I'll be right there.
Yeah, I feel like my husband, I mean, God bless him, he's a great partner, but he spent the first 6 months just be like, they just want you, like, and I was like, I don't know.
Run away.
Yeah, and also just acknowledging that like hormonally everyone's body reacts differently. So there is actually a condition called DMER, which is dysphoria with milk ejection reflex. So when you have that letdown, it's called the milk ejection reflex, which I think is just a hilarious term. I always conjure like, like the eject button and it's like, but that's not actually how it works. But like some breastfeeding parents experience, and it's like, it's physiological, it's a real thing. They experience feelings of dysphoria and like really unpleasant emotional feelings when they have a letdown or after a letdown. And that is really challenging for breastfeeding, like, and those parents, some of them will stop breastfeeding because that's not emotionally healthy for their parenting relationship, and some of them will keep breastfeeding. And I think that like there's one in particular I'm thinking of that I've worked with, and she really talked to me about how her partner really didn't understand, that like, well, if it's hard, why don't you just stop doing it? And she was like, but I want to do it. Like, it's important to me and it's hard. And I'm going to talk about how it's hard, but it's still important to me to do it, And I think that like those two things so can exist together, that like you can do hard things. You can do something even though it's hard for you, even though it's not your favorite. You can do it. Or you cannot. And that's fine too. Like I think for Lindsay and me, like we are so into body autonomy. Like it is your body. You are sovereign, queen, king, whatever, over your own body. And no one gets to tell you what to do with it. That's like a core tenet of my personal feminism. So, including breastfeeding. So if you want to be done, you get to be done. And no one gets to say anything to you about it.
Oh, the finger came out. Yeah.
Oh no, are you frozen, Lindsay?
Nope. I see you. Or I don't. I see your chairs.
Hi.
Hey.
Oh, I thought we fixed that problem.
I know.
I know. Also, I was on a really good rant, so I don't know how much of it you heard.
Bummer.
Oh, but yeah, but I just think like I was saying, that's like such a core tenet of my personal feminism is like you get to decide. And it's our job as professionals to support you, give you information, talk about what the ramifications of each side of the decision might be,
Mm-hmm.
and then support you in your decision.
Right. And give you time to think about it and space to change your mind or have questions. And, there really isn't, sometimes there's a situation where it's like, okay, we can't totally backtrack. But sometimes, like, there's wiggle room. And we want you to know
Yeah.
you don't have to be locked in to absolutely everything. And there's a lot to learn. And sometimes a few tidbits of cool factoids help someone have that light bulb go off and they're like, oh, I didn't know that. I'll keep going, or thanks for giving me a place to say I'm done.
Yeah.
That's really how we at Rising Tide operate. We hope that everybody always feels that there's that embrace, if you want to be embraced. If you don't want
Only with
to touch,
consent.
we will not touch you. But we want you to know that there is a place for you to be wholeheartedly yourself, whether you're a hot mess, whether you are not a hot mess. I don't know what the opposite is. Um,
Cold mess? A hot
well,
not mess? I don't know.
yeah,
I don't know.
I'm saying like it's all confusing to me. But I want to be at that place to be you with a lot of factual information.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And like, and I think too, like, you and I have talked, we talked about this recently, but also like not this kind of like, I hope I don't offend anyone when I say this, but like this kind of like fake happy, like, oh, whatever choice you make is fine. And like all choices are equal. And like, I don't buy that. Not all choices are equal. Not all opinions are equal. And I have very strong feelings about certain things, and if you as a client or, someone who interacts with us, if you ask me, I'll tell you.
Mhm.
But I think that the difference is like, if like I understand that life is more complicated and messy than best practice forever. There's best practice, and then there's a whole bunch of different choices that are also good, and I'm never gonna like blow smoke at you and be like, oh, but it's just as good. No, but what I will say is like, here are the potential ramifications. Here's like how this is likely to play out. Here's all of the actual information. And then I'm going to validate that, like, sometimes it's a hard decision to make. Sometimes it's not, and I'm going to really validate that, like, yes, your decision is valid. Like, I don't have to be like, yes, you made the best decision all the time to be like, like, to be supportive of you. Like, I can be like, okay, I understand that you have a lot going on and there's these factors at play, and that is the best decision for you at this time. And that's great. I'm going to support that. But I think, like, I don't know, I really like some of these posts that are like, oh, breastfeeding, bottle feeding, it doesn't matter. But it matters. It matters. It matters. I think where I get really angry, I'm sorry, Lindsay, I'm on a tear today. But where it really matters to me is,
It's great. It's like a conversation for you and I.
I know we're like, this is what we're like when we're not on film. But where I really get angry is when parents want to breastfeed and then they don't get the support that they need to do it. Like, that is where I feel like it's not a choice. It's not like you chose breast or bottle. You chose breast, and then we failed you.
Yeah.
We didn't give you what you
Yeah.
needed to make your choice a valid choice. And so then I don't think that it's fair to then say, like, oh, it doesn't matter anyways. No, it matters. Your experience matters. The fact that you didn't get the support you needed, that
Yeah.
frigging matters.
Yeah. Big time.
Yeah. And like, I'm not going to tell you and be like, oh, they're both the same, because they're not. Science says no. But I'm going to tell you that, like, your baby is probably going to be okay. They're fine. That's a valid choice for you to make. And I support that choice,
Right.
But like, how would things be different if you had the resources and the support
Right.
to do what you originally wanted to do?
Right. I think that brings up a good point that for some in their minds can get dangerous when we um, devalue things, okay, whatever choice you made, and say, well, look at us, we're fine. I get that. Like, I mean, technically, yeah,
But it's not about us.
but it's all the background that really truly does matter. So don't dismiss if somebody says, "Oh, I really wanted to breastfeed, but I couldn't for whatever that means." Okay, um, and now I'm formula feeding. You don't have to just say like, "Well, my kids did, and they turned out fine." Like, whoa, step back. What happened in your journey? Is there anything you would like to talk about? Like, is there anything I can do for you? Or sometimes just zip it and be a supportive person. It's not always
Listen.
about your situation when somebody's explaining their situation.
Yeah.
Now I'm on a tear.
Oh yeah. No, it's so true. It's so true. And also like, you know, like, okay, well, like, yeah, there, and how about just validating and saying, like, that must have been hard for you? That, I think that phrase, that sentence, like, that sounds like it was hard for you. I think that sentence is so important. That's one of my favorite sentences in the English language because it just does so much to validate. And often when you say that to someone, you can almost feel them like, oh, okay,
Right.
thank
It
you.
either opens up a conversation where they can say, you know what, it really was, and here's why. Or some
Yeah.
people may not feel like talking about it with you, and they may say,
Uh-huh.
thanks for that. We're okay now,
Yeah.
and yada, 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 move on. But
Yeah.
just be kind to people and not make it about you and offer them a place or, maybe we can look up some resources and see if there's better help out there or help out there.
Yeah.
Really,
Yeah, absolutely. Or just like, you know, like that sounds like it was hard for you. And look at your baby. They're thriving. Like your baby is so awesome and you're a good
yeah,
parent. You know,
Aaron.
that's like so often. And I know even for me, I still have insecurity about being like a good enough mom, you know, and like my wise self is like, it's ridiculous. You're fine. But I, you know, like
I know.
so many of us have this deep-seated anxiety about like, am I enough for my kids? Hey. Um, and I think that like we have to really just get in the habit of like, you're a good mom, you're a good dad, like your kids are thriving and they love you, you know, like just really validating the crap out of each other.
It's true. It's true. Your children love you, people. They love you.
Yeah.
Like, let's just try to let some of that go. Okay, like if you didn't make a homemade cookies for the school event and you grabbed some at the supermarket coming in on two wheels, like, guys, it's cool. I don't know if that makes you a hot mess because like I do
Yeah.
and I don't like to bake. I said it, but I'm still an awesome mom. I don't sew things. I don't make birthday cakes for my kids. I buy Halloween costumes. I'm an awesome mom.
You are.
I am such an awesome mom. My kids would probably tell you that I'm awesome. Yes, they would. They would. Because I cheer them on and I validate them and I say, I know today is hard or that moment is hard or learning to tie your shoes really, really stinks and I'm having a hard time figuring out how to teach you. But you're awesome. And so
But you're
are
okay.
all of you. You guys are
Yeah.
all awesome.
Yes. And that's really like kind of was the point of today is like even if you don't love breastfeeding, even if you or even if you love parts of it but not others, even if you don't love every minute of parenting, especially if you don't love every minute of parenting. I'm sorry, no one is like, "Oh, this is so blissful when their kid's having a blowout and there's poop all up their back." Like nobody is
I
like
loved
blissed out
it.
parenting at that point.
I loved it. I loved it when like my kids were loudly screaming over something in the middle of Target and I couldn't figure out what was going on and like how to handle the situation properly. Okay, that stressed me out. Okay, I didn't love
Yeah.
those moments. I hope I did my best, but like I didn't love those moments. So you can't say every moment.
Yeah. And I just so like that's the thing. And like that doesn't make you a bad parent. So I just like that is kind of my big take home is like even if you don't love every minute of parenting, even if you don't love every minute of breastfeeding, you are still out there doing your best,
Yeah.
making the best decision that you can make given what you have to rely on at every minute. And so like you are doing okay.
You're do you're
That's the big message.
you're doing just fine. Breastfeeding, it's a job, and not everybody likes
Yeah.
the job. Okay, some people
Yeah.
say, "I'm out." I don't have the
Yeah.
support. This isn't working for me. Other people muddle through it, and then some people are like, I love my job.
Yeah.
Do you, boo?
Yes. And I feel like motherhood is the only job where if we're not enjoying it, people tell us we're doing it wrong. Um,
Yeah.
Glennon Doyle has this great blog post called "Don't Carpe Diem,"
Yep.
um, about just this thing. Well, I'll try to post it in the
Yep.
comments, but it's like it's a great blog post about just like no, not enjoy every minute. Um, but also like, oh my gosh, I forgot what I was gonna say. I had a gem there. Um, Oh, but also if you're struggling with breastfeeding, reach out and get help. And that's where that support piece comes in. And like we are here for you. You can call me, you can email me, you can contact us through our website, you can contact us here on Facebook. Like if you are struggling with breastfeeding or with parenting, and especially in that first year postpartum, if you find that you are not you and it's not just that you like don't enjoy every minute, but if you find you're really struggling to find any enjoyment, that's like kind of a sign that you need to reach out and get some good support. And so we're here, we can connect you to resources in the community, we can support you within our scope of practice. you know we really like we want to validate your experience, and if you need extra support, we want you to get it.
Absolutely. Agreed.
Oh, yeah. So we've been talking at you for a while. I think it's time to sign off. Um, if you like what we're doing and you want to work with us, you can find us at risingtidewomen.com. You can find us here on Facebook. We're on Instagram at Rising Tide Women. Um, and if you are interested in our birth class on November 18th at South Shore Perinatal Wellness Center, let us know. We'll answer your questions. We'll get you signed up. Um, if you are interested in a private birth class, we do those. If you know anyone who is pregnant and due in February or March, that lifeboat is going to be starting up in about a month, and registration opens today. So there's all kinds of ways you can connect with us.
All sorts. Thank you.
Thank you. Have a great day, Lindsay.
Bye bye.
Bye.